What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Obviously, I'm Grace Report. Please tell me you caught that joke. It's time for a recap of what went down on the Love is Blind reunion special. Just a little bit of a spoiler alert, not that much. In fact, so many things got swept under the rug that I really do want to call out. The entire cast was up on stage together and we started talking about their relationship status. So we already know that Amber and Barnett are still married, just like Cameron and Lauren are still married, and Gianina and Damien are still in a relationship, although they decided not to get married. Actually, Damien decided not to get married. We also find out that Kelly actually tried to continue dating Kenny after friend zoning him on a television for the entire world to see, but that he actually rejected her and decided to move on, and he seemed really happy. He was glowing. He seemed in love in this new relationship that he found himself in. Kelly herself is still single, and it was clear as day that she truly regretted letting a good guy like Kenny go. She kept trying to make eye contact with him, but he was just not having it in honor of the new woman in his life. So I'm glad that Kenny had a backbone and did not decide to feed into her ambivalence. It's always really important. If someone is feeling ambivalent about you, don't even give them the chance to keep going back and forth. Just get right on up and keep it moving until you find someone who is certain about you, and it looks like that is exactly what Ken wound up doing. Amber looked amazing with her new blonde hair, but of course she was still telling those corny ass jokes about being crazy and stuff that are just so kind of cringeworthy to me. I'm like, okay girl, we get it. Barnett is the greatest thing you've ever seen in your small town life. Okay, you're crazy. You'll kill anyone who tries to touch him. Move on. She said that she and Barnett moved closer to the city. Apparently their house was haunted or whatever. I just think it's very convenient that the house was suddenly haunted when she moved in. When we saw in the episode that she wanted them to get another house so that they could have kids in it because his current house only had one bedroom. And remember, she wants to be a stay-at-home mom or whatever. So I think that was just one of those, her playing a little ghost audio tape in the basement, convincing him it's haunted, and then getting out to a bigger house so that she could eventually pop out these babies and stay home. But you didn't hear it from me. Jessica looked incredibly depressed. My heart broke looking at her. She seemed defeated. She had the soul sucked out of her body after the way that the public had been responding to her stint on the show. She talked about how she had to move closer to family in Chicago for some emotional support after, the show started airing. And then now she's officially relocated herself to living in Los Angeles. And I think it's only going to be even tougher for her to date in LA. Gianina and Damien seemed very happy. They talked about how they wake up next to each other every single day. So I assume that they live together. But then later on in the episode, Gianina talks about how they both have their separate apartments or whatever. So yeah, I guess they're just spending a lot of time together, in their homes, but still maintaining their separate residences, which I think is awesome. I am all for that. Diamond revealed that we can soon expect to address her as Dr. Diamond. She is working on her PhD. I saw her in a radio interview with Jessica Morton, and she talked about how she was studying optometry. So she really is about to get this coin, you guys. Mark, on the other hand, announced that he is still single, but I'm pretty sure that after watching how, emotionally vulnerable and hard on his sleeve that this guy is, he's not gonna have any kind of trouble dating, from here on out. Next up, Nick and Vanessa want to dive into Barnett and Amber's relationship. So we got a little bit of B-roll footage that involved Barnett calling Jessica his #1 decision. And I was like, poor Amber, this is so mortifying. And then after they aired the footage, Barnett said that he actually didn't really regret leading on LC, Amber, and Jessica. He was like, this is my first time in my adult life that I was able to express my feelings and dive into my emotions. So sure, it was messy or whatever, but this was the first time that I was able to do it. I shouldn't have said some things the way I did, like the proposal to Jessica or whatever, but this was the first time that I was able to be emotionally vulnerable. And I was kind of torn between two sides, because on the one hand, I could see where he's coming from. Unfortunately, a lot of American men don't feel like they're able to be emotionally open and vulnerable. And so this is, the result of that. But on the other hand, I felt like he was quite manipulative, specifically to Jessica. He heard that Mark was feeling her hardcore and that she was feeling Mark hardcore as well. And I feel like he just wanted to make sure that all the girls were hooked on him so that they were not thinking of getting engaged to other people, and that like he would always guarantee himself to be engaged to somebody. He wanted to be the one to have the ultimate decision and not allow the girls to explore their feelings with other people. So he would like ramp up the pressure whenever he felt like someone else was making a better connection with like a particular woman than him. So I'm not sure that I 1000% believe his simplistic kind of explanation for why he had all these girls thinking that he was going to propose to them. We then get to find out exactly how Amber reacted when she saw with all of us everything that happened with Barnett and Jessica, and our girl was not pleased whatsoever, and understandably so. Amber at the end of the day felt really dumb because Jessica was treating her like a friend. She's like, we all made a pact, Elsie, myself, like our feelings for Barnett were starting to grow, and so we decided to stop talking about our conversations with him for fear of like hurting each other or whatever, or like jealousy. And Jessica did not honor that when she came to me and told me that Barnett essentially proposed to her. So she was pissed off at that, number one. And then number two, after the engagement and everything, she got engaged to Barnett, Jessica got engaged to Mark. She thought they were all cool and friendly. Like Jessica never like even implied that she still had a crush on Barnett. So she had no clue that Jessica was running around her behind her back this entire time, trying to get Barnett to leave her for herself. She's like, you made me feel so dumb that here I was thinking that we were friends. Meanwhile, you're trying to steal my fiance. Like, do you understand how dumb I feel? Like, you are shisty. She called her the B word and everything. And so people were like, oh, I expected Amber to rise above or whatever. And I felt like she had every right to go in on Jessica for that. Like, you guys know I've been defending Jessica tooth and nail, especially except for the parts where she's been wrong. And this was one of the parts where Jessica was wrong and absolutely deserved everything that Amber threw at her. Like, having been in an Amber situation like this, I get it. When someone is in your face acting like you're cool and you're nice and like friendly and everything, but behind the scenes they're scheming on your man. She deserved a good old-fashioned beatdown if you ask me. But at the same time, I wanted to know more about how Amber confronted Barnett about it, because Barnett should have shut that down, those conversations that Jessica was trying to have, down from the very first conversation. Like, Jessica should not have been able to talk to this guy like 5 different times about his fiance behind her back. And the fact that Amber didn't even know about this until it was airing on television is a Barnett problem. What I love about Jessica is that she was more than fine with admitting that she was wrong. She's like, hey, I was wrong. I did not take the rejection properly, and I, see why what I was doing hurt your feelings. So I apologize to you, Amber. I apologize to you, Barnett. I respect your relationship and I want you both to be happy. Amber, of course, does not 1000% accept the apology. She's like, I accept the intent behind it, but at the end of the day, I still feel the way that I feel, and I don't trust a woman like you. One of the cutest parts of the entire reunion special was when Vanessa and Nick asked the cast who shocked them the most when they saw them for the first time, and Kenny like just jumps right out of the gate. He's like, Lauren. We and her were talking like dating for a little bit, and then when I saw her in person, I was like, wow, she is captivating, she is stunning. And then Damien jumps in there. He's like, I was dating her right up until she got engaged to Cameron. I thought the exact same thing. Absolutely beautiful. It's just so nice to see her being celebrated like that. I was just, girl, yes. Diamond also admitted that she found Mark to be quite hot, and I would have loved to see the two of them together. I think they're both very like emotionally like open and like mature in some senses of the word. I think that Mark kind of is lacking in some instances. For example, the way he let Jessica string him along and never once stood up for himself. But I feel like Diamond would have treated him a lot better, and like they would have had a really healthy relationship together. And then we get into Carlton. They gave him way too much time, first of all. At this point, I was like, can we have Lauren and Cameron talk yet? Like, who are all these other irrelevants? So Carlton claims that he's been getting death threats and that he's concerned for Diamond's own backlash that she's been getting from the show. And I just felt like it was so disingenuous, because Carlton was the one trying to portray her as this person that she was not. Remember, Diamond accepted the fact that he was bisexual. What she was unhappy with was the fact that he did not tell her prior to getting engaged. Even though Carlton knew that, he still went on TV, called her stereotypical, made fun of her appearance, and called her a homophobe or a biphobe or whatever. And then online, like a couple days before filming this reunion, he was online day and night reposting very derogatory messages that people were sharing about Diamond, you know, and calling her all of these, you know, slanderous things that could very much affect her life and her career. So for him to sit up there and be like, I'm so concerned for the backlash that she's been getting, like, really, dude? Really? He said that he opened up the line of communication with her very briefly on her birthday. He decided to send her a text message to wish her a happy birthday and to apologize for the way that their relationship went down. Diamond said that she too had been getting death threats and being labeled as biphobic, which is so unfair. Carlton then cries and says that he should have handled things differently, and he would give anything to be sitting there on the couch happily married to Diamond the way Barnett and Amber and Lauren and Cameron were. And I'm glad that Diamond, when the host asked her if she'd ever forgive him, try to date him again, she was like, no. The way he disrespected me, he called me a bitch, he made fun of my appearance, like all of this happened on television. Why would I walk back and trust someone like that? Someone like that does not love you. And I was like, yes, Diamond, let these girls know. You don't have to forgive someone just because they're over here crying and groveling for you. It does not mean that they change. Like, the level that Carlton took things to was unforgivable. Carlton then gets on one knee and does this dramatic apology kind of thing, and gives her ring back. He claims that he fished it from the bottom of the pool or whatever, but again, it seemed like it was just for show because he had been bullying her online and trying to lead a crusade against her, threatening to sue her and all this stuff. He even implied that she wasn't a real woman or whatever. Like, this guy is so toxic and fake. Like, you know, he really put her on the spot to have to accept this non-real apology. He never even apologized for calling her the B word. He said, I indirectly called her out of her name or some other garbage like that. He never said, I am sorry. I never should have called you the B word. I never should have made fun of your appearance. I never should have told people that you were homophobic or biphobic. I understand that that could destroy your reputation, and I wish I never did that. All he did was take a moment. He was like, let me get on one knee and pretend to give you an apology, but not even really specify what he was sorry for. He just made it all about himself, and it was just so corny and weird, and it put a lot of pressure on Diamond that was just not necessary. Kenny, whose accent I absolutely love, by the way, said that he was embarrassed at the altar when Kelly said no to him on decision day, but then Kelly decided to expose him. She's like, no, we both agreed a couple of weeks in advance, like well before reaching the altar, that we were both going to say no on decision day. So this is where I really want to talk about, you know, how manipulative the guys have proven themselves to be on this show. Like, Kenny did not even like counter Kelly's point. It seemed like he accepted what she was claiming, which was that they both agreed to say no on decision day, which makes him look a little bit shady for claiming to have been embarrassed by her. Something that's worth noting about Kelly in this reunion was that she was very obviously regretful about the fact that she let a good guy like Kenny go, because she was just so in her head about everything. Like, she was crying. She could hardly get a sentence out. She talked about how she thought that when they both said we're going to say no at the altar, that they were going to continue dating outside of the show, but that Kenny rejected her. And I was like, oh my God, girl. Like, I really don't understand people who think that they could just, you know, place you as a bookmark in their life and just pick you back up whenever they feel like it. So good on Kenny for growing a backbone and moving on. Amber exposes the fact that she and Barnett almost broke up because she was so financially dependent on him. She claims that being financially dependent on someone was new to her, but like, we saw her, you know, proudly talk about having been a couch surfer and how she has no plans to pay off her debts. So sure, Jan, on that one. She mentioned working as a cocktail waitress to earn a little bit of money for some time. Jessica, who looked so defeated and depressed, by the way, my heart truly does go out to her at the end of all of this, apologized for the way that she talked about Mark's appearance and his occupation. She's like, he's obviously an attractive guy. Like, I did not mean for it to come out like that at all. And Mark very graciously accepted her apology and says that he still respects her and values the relationship that they once had. Mark says that he wished Jessica would have talked to him about the crush that she had on Barnett. And I just don't understand where he was going with this. Like, she literally, to his face, said that she thought that Barnett was sexy and hot and all of these things. And, you know, he forgave her for it. He was like, oh, she was drunk. It doesn't matter. So, like, what else does he want? And then Jessica actually low-key dragged herself here. And admitted to being a homewrecker. She's like, oh, it's just like a pattern for me to always go for what's not available. Like, sis, you don't want to say something like that about yourself on television as a professional woman. Like, you just called yourself a homewrecker, and it is just not a good look whatsoever. And then at the very end of the reunion, we finally get some words from Lauren and Cameron. I really hate how they're constantly pushing the people that we're wanting to see to the very end of these shows and giving them just like 2 minutes. Carlton got all this time to be like cringeworthy and narcissistic, but they only got 2 seconds. Come on now. Lauren and Cameron talk about how he got her a puppy and that they're visualizing whether their baby is going to look like Drake or Barack Obama. Sorry, y'all. I love Lauren and Cameron, but I cringed at the mention of that. I've been in 1,000,001 interracial relationships and have never had this conversation because it's just weird to me. Guys, you know what's really funny about Lauren? She looks exactly like Quad from Married to Medicine and actually speaks exactly like Issa Rae as well. Now, in the end, everybody agreed that they learned that love legitimately can be blind, but I don't understand why Kelly and Jessica agreed, because they proved that it was anything but blind for them. Like, Kelly and Jessica both fell in love with their men for who they were on the inside, but then fell out of love the moment that they saw them physically. So for them to raise their hands up and claim that they believe love is blind is a whole entire lie. But enough about me. Those are just my thoughts on the episode. As usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.